So today we will be talking about bioenergetics and oxidative phosphorylation. And what do you understand by this bioenergetics? So cellular energetics. What do you understand this cellular energetics?
The sorry, the cell which is producing energy, like biologically, that is
Yeah,
bioenergetic.
from glucose oxidation. Yes, yes.
Yes. Mhm.
Then actually the energy production. Actually, the terminology production is a wrong terminology. Though we use, I will keep on using because like it is easy terminology to use. Energy production, rather than telling energy production, we can call it ATP production. So energy production does not happen. Energy transformation only will happen. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Because first law of thermodynamics says energy is conserved, cannot be created nor be produced. So therefore a use of terminology like production of energy is in its sense it is a wrong word to use for energy. So even somebody says you that energy production, just remember it is a transformation, not a production. So even I can use that this wrong terminology energy. I have been using this wrong terminology energy production, but energy production you have to understand it is a transformation, not production. So whatever ultimate source of as I have already discussed. So let's start. So it's already energy. I have already been telling from the beginning the sun is the ultimate source of energy. This sun will provide it will, so it will the plant will take the energy from this trap the energy from photon from the sun, and from this plant we animal we or other animal so will uh, acquire acquire energy. From plant we get energy. So ultimate source of energy is sun. That is, and at every level there is transformation. If you see in at depth, so you will see this physics law of physics is is applicable here also. So energy is transformation happens from its highest concentration gradient. So it's high energy, so potential gradient to its low potential gradient like this. In that process you will see there is release of energy to environment. This release of energy is called entropy. This is called entropy. So there will be release of energy, and this will cause this will increase a randomness around universe. So this is the process of transformation of energy. We will talk about this in our biochemical context. So we have seen the energy actually flows from this higher to lower potential difference, and then what will happen then from higher to lower potential difference energy flows, and this energy can be utilized. What will happen is this is a waterfall. Okay, this is waterfall. So we extract energy. This is like mountain. Just remember a mountain. This is a mountain, or from its water is falling like this. So water, when water falls from this, we can put a turbine over here. Okay, we can put a turbine here over here. Because of this turbine, I'll write it turbine in this blue. Because of rotation of this turbine, what will happen? Electricity will be produced. So electricity will be produced. This pole, so electricity will be produced from this. On this electricity, you can use in your home, to carry water. This is, and remember, this is electrical motor. So you will use this electricity to take water from this water reservoir. Maybe it may be underground water or water that coming from municipality anywhere. So you use this water to put this water on the in the tank that is placed on the rooftop of your home. So see, in this process, what is happening? So this potential energy, the potential energy, you can see potential energy is being converted into kinetic energy, and this kinetic is energy, we change this kinetic energy into electrical energy, like this electrical energy. And this electrical energy, when used, and the same energy that is being released here, we can use by electrical motor to put this water on the rooftop. So you can see this is nothing but, if you can see physical terminology, this is a transformation of energy that is happening outside of our body in nature, that we are doing in everyday life. So this is this transformation of change of this kinetic energy into electrical energy, into this mechanical energy to put this water on the top. So these are all transformation of energy happening, and the similar type of transformation of energy will happen in our body also. The similar type of transformation energy, I'll tell you. Let's see this glycolysis. So glycolysis is what? This glucose is there. So glucose is there. You can see glucose through several process. So through several process, I'll draw two irreversible steps. So glucose will convert into glucose 6-phosphate and fructose 1,6-bisphosphate through one process, from fructose 6-phosphate. Fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, and this fructose 1,6-bisphosphate will ultimately form phosphoenol pyruvate through several irreversible reactions. Then this will convert into pyruvate. Now, if you see the energy difference of this glucose, there is very high energy difference between this, and because of this energy difference, and you can imagine this chemical reaction like fall of water from the mountain. Now this fall of water, like fall of reaction from glucose to pyruvate. So this from glucose to pyruvate, when reaction happens, what will happen? Energy of glucose is much higher than the energy of this pyruvate. From this, we have seen NADH is produced, and NADH, 2 NADH is produced, and at the same time 4 ATP is produced. ATP is produced. So we are in total actually net is 2 ATP. If you divide 1 ATP, net ATP will be 2 ATP. So ultimately total we have already seen 7 ATP. Total 7 ATP is produced. So energy equivalent to total 7 ATP is released. There in case of mountain, we have seen this electricity is production. So here we can see, because of fall of water, kinetic energy is being converted into electrical energy. Here this chemical energy is being converted into, because of this conversion of this high energy rich glucose into pyruvate. There is we can actually take this reaction as analogy of this falling water. So because this energy is high and this is low, that is why we can consider it as falling water, and from this we can see this 7 ATP is being produced, and this energy that is released because of this fall is converted into ATP. So can you correlate these two events? Just tell me, can you correlate these two events?
Yes.
So so you can correlate the event that is happening inside your body, inside your cell, that is very similar to actually pattern wise. If you see the pattern is very similar to the pattern of that falling water. So you can see glycolysis is being released. This is how a release of energy is happening, and this reaction, that is why this falling of water is called, because this falling of water releases energy. That is why it is called exergonic process. Exergonic process. And this falling of glucose to pyruvate is also called exergonic process. Exergonic process. Now the same ATP, I have already discussed, this same energy, same ATP can be utilized for synthesis of DNA, synthesis of protein, synthesis of other function. This is called intergonic process. Intergonic process. And this two process conversion of energy from exergonic process and utilization for intergonic process, that is endothermic process, building big molecule that makes our body. So this process is called energy coupling. Energy coupling. And I have already told you the energy that is electrical energy that is released from this can be utilized by electrical motor to drive water at the rooftop. At the rooftop. So this is also a form of energy coupling. The energy that is released from waterfall is being utilized by conversion of this energy into electrical energy to put water, to pump water to the rooftop. The same way, energy released here can be converted into a chemical form of energy, ATP, and this ATP is utilized again to synthesize, build body. So this is very similar mechanism pattern wise if you understand these two mechanisms. Did you understand these two mechanisms?
Yes, sir.
Now, if you understand this, if you can correlate these two mechanisms, you will easily actually understand this biotransformation. So you will easily understand the biotransformation of what happens inside our body. And this type of these two mechanism is actually guided by laws of thermodynamics. So you know laws. What does laws of thermodynamics says? Energy conversion happens. The first law says energy conversion happens. So it says that energy conversion happens. It cannot be created nor be destroyed. So it says the nature of energy. So energy is changeable. It is the nature of energy, but it cannot be created nor be destroyed. And second law says in what direction does it convert. So second law basically says in what direction does it convert. Okay, so this is the second law. So this is you can see the first law. First law says energy converts. Second law says direction, gives the direction of conversion. So in second law also gives the concept of this entropy. Sorry, S, delta S. So what is entropy? Entropy is freedom. Freedom. Okay, freedom means so we will discuss a bit more about this entropy. Let keep it in a pause. Now see this, if you combine this both laws, first law and second law, what we get is Gibbs free law equation. Okay, so this is the equation that we get after we combine first law and second law. So we will work on this equation. So this equation says if G is negative, G is negative. So we will talk about this equation. Just remember this equation. Delta G is delta H minus T into delta S. Just remember, when you combine these two equations, this we will get this. Now let's see this. So key point that we derive from this law of thermodynamics is direction of flow of energy is from towards low energy content, because the air is low concentration of water. That is why water flows from higher to lower concentration. So low content of the system. So higher freedom. Now the water that flows from here, the water is very stagnant, but it flows, it gets, the water molecule is very vibrating. It is very more free. It is more in disorder. More vibration. The water molecule has more motion. So this will, the flow will happen towards the direction where is more disorder, more freedom. And this disorder and freedom, in like a scientific word we call it entropy. This freedom, high movement is called entropy. So conversion happens in the direction of high movement. Now we can compare this with this glucose also. Can you see glucose? Now glucose. So glucose, from this you can see glucose converts into 2-pyruvate. 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 Not only 2-pyruvate. Here you can see ATP. Here you can see like NADH. Now for the time being, let's forget about this. So glucose is more free, or 2-pyruvate is more free? Which is more free? Which has more freedom? Which have more motion? Glucose or pyruvate? To pyruvate. Tell me.
Pyruvate.
Okay, yes, pyruvate, because pyruvate is smaller molecule, and that is why it will have more freedom. So that is what this this laws of thermodynamics is. So movement happens. So any transformation in our body or spontaneous transformation, if it has to release energy, it will happen in the direction of more freedom, and freedom is entropy. You can correlate these two events with the glucose glycolysis. So, and this you can see here, energy transformation is never 100%. So when there is like glucose converts into something, there will be energy release of ATP and NADH, but all energy cannot be trapped into this NADH and ATP. There will be release of some energy. There will be release of some energy also. So this will be free energy. Okay, this is called free energy. This free energy will be released to the environment, and these are responsible for increasing freedom of the whole universe. So this is the laws of thermodynamics. When transformation happens, the energy will not be completely transformed into another form. For example, let's say in this session, if kinetic energy is transformed into electrical energy, there will also be not 100% conversion. There will be, let's say, 50% conversion. Then what is the efficiency of this transformation? Efficiency of this transformation is only 50%, and this efficiency cannot be 100%. Our body also has the same thing. This energy transformation cannot be 100%. So with this, these are the different form of energy. Just for revision, this is kinetic energy, these are potential energy, thermal energy, electrical energy. And electrical energy, by the way, our body has electrical energy. Do you know this? Our body utilizes electrical energy. Where do we find electrical energy in our body? Just tell me.
Nerves.
Nerves. Good, great, very good. Nerves. And anybody can, every cell has electrical energy.
Muscles.
Brain.
Muscles also. Okay, muscles also utilize electricity. And you can see, I'll tell you, in every mitochondria, for my concern is mitochondria here, because I'm talking, every mitochondria has electron transport chain. Don't you know? Many millions of electron transport chain. So what is this electron transport chain? What happens in electron transport chain? So electron will be transported to this electron transport chain from NADH to oxygen. So it is a transport of electron. So if electron moves, isn't it an electrical energy? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So all the center, that is why we call it powerhouse, because each electron transport chain is a tiny cell, tiny biochemical cell where production of energy happens. So this each electron transport chain is actually nothing but electrical energy. That electrical energy, this chemical conversion of chemical energy into electrical energy, and this we harness this electrical energy in the form of ATP. And how do we harness? We will study about all this in this session. Did you understand? This is called oxidative phosphorylation. Did you understand this oxidative phosphorylation about this mitochondria? This mitochondria has electron transport chain.
Can you repeat, sir, please?
Yeah, this mitochondria, all mitochondria has many millions. Every mitochondria has hundreds of thousands of this electron transport chain made of complexes. This complex named by this 1, 3, 4 complexes. 1, 3, 4 complexes, and this 1, 3, 4 complexes gets nitrogen. This receive electron from NADH, and this electron will be transferred to oxygen. And after this electron being transported to this electron transport chain, what will happen? Energy is, this chemical energy is being converted into electrical energy. We harness this electrical energy to form ATP. So this is what our mitochondria does. That is why we call mitochondria powerhouse. Powerhouse. What is powerhouse? Powerhouse is nothing but the conversion of that water, hydroelectricity, conversion of this force of water into electricity. The same thing our mitochondria is doing, conversion of this chemical energy into other form of chemical energy. That is why we call it powerhouse through this electrical energy. Did you understand now? We will talk in detail about this.
Yes,
Did you
sir.
understand?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So these are the form of electrical. So I wanted to tell you about electrical. Chemical energy, you already know glucose is chemical form of energy. We utilize chemical energy. We utilize chemical energy in the form of ATP. And these are the main energy that we know that the thermal energy is responsible for maintaining temperature in our body. And this, so you already know this energy form. So understanding energy form is also important. Now I have already told you this. So sun is the source of energy. So photosynthesis, and ultimately we have the energy. So this slide is nothing to do but sun is the ultimate source of energy. I have to show that how photosynthesis happens. In the same way, you can see the same physical phenomenon. You can transform energy by physical phenomenon also by this solar panel. So this actually here also what will have movement of electron, and this movement of electron will actually stored in the form of energy. The same way in our mitochondria also movement of electron will happen, and this movement of electron will be stored in the form of ATP. So this is what I want to show. Actually, I have a different slide. I will make this slide a different way. I'll give you. So what I'm teaching you, that slide will include everything. So you will understand those things. Let me make you understand the important things. So what is free energy? So remember all laws of thermodynamics can be summarized in this, both laws of thermodynamics. So delta G is called free energy. Free energy is called G. G is denoted by free energy. So what gives free energy is relation between enthalpy and entropy. We call it, this is enthalpy and entropy. A measure of amount of energy capable of doing work during reaction. So this will look a very hazy definition. So just understand what we have discussed, this transformation of this glucose into pyruvate. So what energy released? Whatever energy released is called Gibbs free energy. Okay, total energy. Did you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Total energy is Gibbs free energy. Now this total energy can have this two part. Heat content. This is enthalpy is called heat content of the system. That energy that is being transformed into ATP. So we have seen the one part is transformed into ATP, 7 ATP. I'm not talking about NADH because NADH also is converted into ATP. This is 7 ATP. And other part is released as energy. And this energy is actually nothing but this in the form of entropy. So these two combine, if you combine these two, it will become what? Free energy. Now, did you understand?
Yes, sir.
So this is very simple actually, if you understand this easily. Pyruvate, I'll repeat again, glucose. Now, so energy transformation. So this has high energy, this has low energy. So energy will be released in two forms. One form is ATP. So this is a form of enthalpy. Now other energy is released into environment that will cause increased motion of other molecule. This is called entropy. So you can see the entropy plus enthalpy. So this will combinedly form this G value. Now, so this change in heat content. So this change in heat content of the system, and when you sum this minus temperature plus this entropy, then it makes delta G. So don't right now, don't question on this. I'll make you understand the significance of this. Okay, so understand, just memorize this formula. Delta G is in enthalpy minus T plus T delta S, change in enthalpy. This is this is change in entropy, this is change in enthalpy. So what is, you can study also from this, heat released or absorbed from the reaction. If heat is released, if this is pyruvate, and this is glucose. So we actually, how do you do summation? Product minus reactant, product minus reactant. So now see the product, if product has less heat content, let's say H, and this has more heat content, capital H. So what will happen? So this result will have minus something, minus delta H. Did you understand this? This is less, and this reactant, product minus reactant, glucose has high, so this will become negative. Ultimately this will also be negative. So summation will show everything. That is why just I told you to remember this. So this is the formula of, when I go into detail of the mathematics, you become confused. That is why I don't want to go into detail. Just remember the physical condition, this, and release of two kinds of energy, this entropy, and this second is enthalpy in the term of ATP. When you sum these two, this will become delta G. That's it. You have to remember for the time being. If you go into detail of the mathematics, you will get confused. Now, so this is free energy. I have already told you what is free energy. Now there is second formula for free energy. Okay, this is second formula that we require in biochemistry. This is second formula that is required in biochemistry. Now I will explain this formula. Did you understand this formula? Just see, understanding is more important. I don't want to actually go into detail. Just understand this formula, correlate this formula with the event, natural event, the event that is happening inside our body. Can you correlate this formula with the event that is happening in our, with glycolysis, at least with glycolysis? Can you correlate this formula?
Yes,
so correlating is more important.
Yes.
That's it. So don't bother about negative, minus, plus. Now I will make you correlate this formula now. Let's say this. So memorize this formula. Delta G is equal to delta G standard plus RT log product, B is product by A. Now I'll write this formula. I'll write this formula and make you understand. Okay. Now, so see, this is the formula. What is this? So delta G. So it is a G, net free energy change is equal to standard free energy change. I'll tell you what is standard free energy. This is log, natural log. And what is this? You can see RT natural log, RT ln concentration of B by concentration of A. I will write here glycolysis only because you have studied glycolysis. So consider glycolysis like A is glucose and B is converting to pyruvate. So this as pyruvate. Now let's see this example. So this equation says, this will give you, before explaining all this, I will tell you one more thing that I missed here, that I want to say. Now this thing, if you understand this, then you will understand that also. So I want to tell you one thing, this is very important thing. When delta G is negative, then it is a exergonic process. That means glycolysis will have a negative. Like you can see the product and then reactant, then product. there will be like initial, there will be requirement of more energy. This is called activation energy. So enzyme nullifies this energy, and this will be the product. You can see the energy of product. So you can see the pyruvate. I'll write pyruvate here, glucose. Now, so I will write one formula here. So product minus energy of product minus energy of reactant is delta G. Delta G is energy of pyruvate minus energy of product. Pyruvate is product, energy of glucose. Always we have to, if we have to subtract, we always subtract product minus reactant. So did you understand this? We subtract product minus reactant. Do you understand this? So we always do that, because energy of product, how much energy is released? We will see how much energy is released here. How much energy is released? When you subtract this product, amount of energy with the product, okay, from the reactant. So this is a convention that we follow. Product minus reactant, energy of product minus energy of reactant. Did you understand this convention?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you subtract this product energy content of this product minus free energy content of this product minus free energy content of this reactant, what do you get? Don't you get a negative value?
Yes, sir.
You get a negative value of energy, and that is what this says. So exergonic process will have this negative value. Glycolysis all have this value of negative value. G will have negative value. Glycolysis, Krebs cycle, this exergonic process will have this negative value of G. Now endergonic process. If you compare the synthesis of protein from amino acid to protein, so this is product, protein is product. So now subtract this product minus energy content of this product minus energy content of this reactant. So what do you get? You get a positive value or negative value?
Positive value.
Positive value. So positive value, you get positive E value. So now you can see that means you have to put heat inside. So mathematically, what does it? Negative value represent release of heat, energy. Negative value really express release of energy. So understand this. You don't have to bother about anything. Just understand when delta G is negative, is release of energy. That is exergonic process. When there is delta G is positive, so this means it is an endergonic process. So energy is being added to the system, to the reaction. So this is the difference. This is how we represent mathematically this mathematically and precisely. Mathematics is a science of precision, and that is why we use mathematics. Otherwise, we don't have to. We can understand things without mathematics also. So this exergonic process means we denote exergonic process by minus delta G. So my negative value. This means release of energy. We represent endergonic process by positive delta G. How do we get this value? Product minus reactant. So this is how we get this value. So this is the representation. Delta G is negative in exergonic process and delta G is positive in endergonic process. And I also told you this G is delta H minus T delta S. Now when you sum this is a value, like when you sum this and when you get a negative value of this out of this negative, for example X, say if you get a negative value, that means we can conclude this is as exergonic process. For example, melting of ice. Melting of ice. If you see melting of ice, what you see, that the ice is actually absorb heat. But so this part will become positive, but this become a bigger negative, and that is why when we sum this will become whole negative, because defrosting of ice will have a water molecule will have more freedom, and that is why ice will defrost above 0 degrees Celsius. So this formula can be very useful formula to explain this physical event. For the time being, understand delta G is negative, means exergonic process. Delta G is positive, means endergonic process, non-spontaneous. Exergonic means this is spontaneous. Did you understand now this much?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is, now I'll tell you to utilize this formula. So this formula, how do we utilize? Now see, let's see this. This is very useful in reaction. Now see. So this is also gives like a feedback inhibition type of conclusion. So now see pyruvate. Now this is glucose. Let's see this. So when you increase the concentration of glucose, let's see, means when you increase the A, this A. So what will happen? If A concentration is very high, so what will be this? Because of this is very high. So what will happen? The whole will become negative. If A is very high, this will become negative. And then this delta S will also become negative. So this high concentration will favor this reaction. But at the same time, if pyruvate concentration is very high, so what will happen? This will obstruct this flow of water, this flow of this reaction, because this will become positive. If you don't understand, if you put this A over like this, RT ln B, and then if you reverse this, it will become A minus. Okay, if this increases, this minus will come here like this. So this whole equation minus RT ln B A. So did you understand this? So if A increases, the whole reaction will be like flowing negative. The whole expression will contribute for negative. A will contribute for minus charge on the air, and that is why this will be smooth. If you don't understand this, you can easily understand. I'll make it very easily understand. So you can see this. So you understand this as flowing of water. Flowing of water. Mathematics is nothing but replication of natural event. Okay, if you understand natural event, if you don't understand mathematics, no problem. Later you will understand. So can you see which concentration will encourage flow of this glucose to pyruvate? Just tell me. Higher in which concentration?
A. Higher A.
A. This is B. So higher concentration of what will encourage the flow? Glucose.
Glucose. Yeah, glucose.
Yeah. A higher concentration of pyruvate, does it encourage the flow?
No.
So this is a base. This is also this thermodynamically also you can understand this inhibition reaction. So that is what happens in our body. So if your product is very low, the reactant will react very fast. If your product is very high, then reactant will not react very fast. If product is very high in comparison to reactant, this is happening everywhere in the reaction, especially in your reversible reaction, and this is denoted by this very phenomenon is denoted by this formula. Delta G is equal to delta G standard plus RT ln by concentration of B product by concentration of A. Did you understand this? So this is the representation of this. Did you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So just remember, this formula is correlated with this, the product and reactant. This gives how product and reactant actually contributes to spontaneity of reaction. If product is very less, then reaction will try to become spontaneous. If reactant is very high, product is very less, and there will be high chance of spontaneity. But if the product is very high, reactant is very low, there is low chance of spontaneity. So this gives this meaning. This formula gives this meaning. So I have already explained what is the meaning of this formula. Formula, it is not necessary, just meaning is more important. I have already explained the meaning of this formula, meaning of this formula. Just understand the meaning. So you are as a medical student, you have to understand the concept, not the formula. So I have already explained this also. So this to remember, these are also very important. So all glycolysis, Krebs cycle, these are Krebs cycle. Actually, ultimately you will see exergonic process, endergonic processes, protein synthesis, DNA synthesis. You will study in genetics. So how many ATP is required for one peptide bond synthesis? Do you know? Anybody knows? How many ATP? One peptide bond formation? Anyone, please?
Is this 1 ATP?
1 ATP? At least even if you tell wrong, just speak out. 1 ATP, you told me 1 ATP. Anyone?
So would it be 2?
Yes?
Would it be 2?
Two
How
or three.
many ATP?
5.
Anyone?
5.
5 ATP. But nobody is. Have you been taught translation?
Yeah.
So translation, you will see translation. The first step, I have also taught you first step. The actually activation of amino acid only required 2 ATP. Then later step required 2 ATP as well. So at least 4 ATP is utilized for formation of one peptide bond. See how expensive is to formation of peptide bond. Now let's talk about how many ATP is produced, utilized for synthesis of one phosphodiester bond in DNA and RNA. These are all endergonic process. How many ATP is utilized for formation of one phosphodiester bond?
2 ATP.
Yes, 2 ATP. Because ATP is converted into AMP, GTP is converted into GMP, and TTP is converted into TNP, CTP is converted into CMP. So that is 2 ATP, every bond. So this is easy answer. So did you understand how these are endergonic process?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'll ask you one more thing. For synthesis of glucose, one glucose from 2 pyruvate, it is gluconeogenesis, 2 pyruvate. How many ATP? Can you tell me?
It should be more, 7 or something.
Yes, it is more.
Do you mean total or being used?
I forgot the exact number. 7.
About 11 ATP. These are endergonic process, expensive process. 11 ATP. So glucose synthesis, everything I am actually giving you the example of these endergonic processes so that you will understand, you will remember. And we are talking actually right now, we are also talking about exergonic process. We have already done glycolysis. We have already done Krebs cycle. These are exergonic process. So these two are the example. Now beta oxidation is also an exergonic oxidation is an exergonic process. And then lipid synthesis, fatty acid synthesis is endergonic process. So this is the reactant, the product will have more energy than reactant, and this will have delta G positive. So did you understand pathways which have delta G positive, which have negative delta G?
Yes, sir.
And you can correlate this pathway by that the uphill reaction and downhill reaction. Why did I told you uphill reaction, downhill reaction? This is a downhill reaction. Doesn't it look like downhill reaction?
Yes, sir.
So this is downhill reaction. Pyruvate, conversion of glucose to pyruvate is downhill reaction. Conversion of pyruvate, that is gluconeogenesis, into glucose is uphill reaction. Requires 11 ATP. So we will see this how gluconeogenesis utilize 11 ATP in gluconeogenesis. Now, so you have understood exergonic process, laws of thermodynamics. You have understood exergonic process, endergonic process. You understood these two formulas. Did you understand these two formula? You understood what is enthalpy, what is entropy. Did you understand this all?
Yes, sir.
These are the things you require. So what is equilibrium reaction? Now let's talk about equilibrium reaction. Equilibrium reaction is the reaction where you will see delta is zero. That is the equilibrium reaction. So A converts into B and B converts into A because of this delta zero. Now there is one more reaction, this C, but sometimes the reaction becomes the same reaction. A when converts into B and B converts into A. When there is B is very low, what will happen? And there is a mechanism to remove this B. So what will happen? This will become a sort of irreversible reaction, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
So because we have seen this, if there is mechanism to remove this, so it will become a sort of irreversible reaction. There are many reactions in our body that becomes irreversible, though it is reversible, and that become irreversible because of removal of this product. So you have to understand this mechanism. If you understand, you will understand. If you can correlate this body mechanism with the mechanism of nature, you can easily understand everything reaction. So reaction is nothing but flowing of water from top to down, downhill and uphill. So uphill flowing of water will require energy. The uphill flow of reaction will require energy. Those reactions are called endergonic process. Downhill flow of water release energy. Downhill flow of reaction will also release energy. Those reactions are called exergonic process. And the reaction, when there is the processes, when there is like stagnation of water in the pond, there is neither downhill and uphill, so there is zero reaction. So this is a reversible reaction. Change in delta G is zero. This is called reversible equilibrium reaction. So this is equilibrium reaction. Now we write equilibrium reaction. There is a constant always for equilibrium reaction. This constant is given as equilibrium. K equilibrium, product, concentration of product by concentration of reactant. So this formula, you can get this formula like this. This formula here, this is zero. This is zero in such condition, and this becomes K equilibrium. So this formula will become like this: delta G naught is equal to minus RT ln by K equilibrium. So you can change this formula, and this formula will have several other implications. We will not talk about that. Just remember, we can change this formula. So did you understood exergonic reaction? What are the exergonic reaction that is happening in our body? And you also required like endergonic reaction. So exergonic reaction happens in our body, but it does not burn our body. You know why? Because it is multi-step process. Glycolysis is multi-step process. It releases energy and it is regulated. That is why it does not burn our body. So just see this question right now. So, 14-year-old African-American adolescent competes well in short distance event as she tries out for track team, but does poorly in longer distance because in longer distance she lacks energy. Evaluation at a sport institute shows that she has elevation of blood lactate. You know this. Why blood lactate rises? Because there is something problem in the pathway. There is mitochondrial problem maybe after a longer duration of treadmill, and suggests that muscle energy metabolism, that which of the following reaction of the muscle metabolism would be least affected after she run a long distance? Which of the following reaction would be spontaneous or least affected? Indirectly, which of the
E.
following reaction? Now,
E.
which of the A?
E. No. The pyruvate.
Which of the following reaction would be spontaneous? Least affected means spontaneous. Exergonic reaction. Spontaneous is exergonic reaction.
A.
B.
A.
Is
Huh?
it B? B?
B, does B is exergonic? You require ATP here.
Glucose to- Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah.
So what is the answer now?
B is the answer.
Which is the answer?
B.
B, you will require ATP in B,
I'm
which will release ATP. That means indirectly asking which reaction will release energy.
So I don't even understand the question. Like, least affected means what?
Yeah,
Like,
she is
yeah,
a,
me too.
you did not, I'll tell you. She is a girl. She does well in short distance. She has enough energy, but when she runs for a longer duration, what happens is her she has a lactic accumulation. She cannot
Lactate will form. Yeah.
Yeah, she does not have sufficient energy to run a longer distance, and that is what is happening. She is lacking some. There is an energy problem in energy metabolism. The doctor found as energy metabolism. There is problem in mitochondria, energy metabolism. So
okay.
when she run very fast, so which reaction will be spontaneous? Which reaction will be actually helping this girl? So obviously, because she lack energy, so those reactions will not happen at this position, which require energy.
E, sir. E, I think. Pyruvate to lactate.
When she is running, only those reactions will be favored, which will produce energy. Those reactions will not be favored, which will require energy because she has energy deficiency. Did you understand now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Energy deficiency. So energy producing reaction will be favored
Yes.
because she has energy deficiency. So which is energy producing reaction?
D.
Is it E? Does when pyruvate converts into lactate, does it produce energy?
No, D. D.
D will be the most favored reaction. You will see this. Because at this step ATP is released. Okay, so this type of question, indirect, these are very indirect questions. So this is the question based on like thermodynamics. Did you understand this now?
Yes, sir.
Okay then. So how do reaction, you already know energy